No worries. Let's start. So thank you all for joining this afternoon. Just to give you a brief intro. So before we begin, webinar will be recorded and copy will be sent to the email IDs that you've registered with. So we'll go through presentations and then have a Q&A at the end. So if you put down your questions in the Q&A box, just for GDPR purposes, please keep the questions general and avoid any personal information. Just want to say a big thank you to Matt and Louis. A little bit of background. Matt looks after IWOCA's enterprise accountant partners and IWOCA pay sellers. He's from an army, engineering and farming background, loves helping small businesses improve their cash flow. When not indulging in serious conversations about work, Matt can be seen DIYing and being an ardent reader. Louis is an embedded payment specialist at Modulr, where he focuses on helping businesses optimize their cash flow through seamless payment solutions. With a background at funding circles, Louis brings a wealth of experience in finance services and deep understanding of the challenges faced by small businesses. Outside of work, Louis enjoys staying active through sports, a keen rugby fan, and he's always on the lookout for a great new book or podcast to dive into. With all that said and sorted, over to you, Louis.
Brilliant. Is that working, Paul?
Yep, lovely and visible.
Perfect. The more a business owner knows about their cash flow, the more empowered they become. Thank you, Paul, for a kind introduction. My name's Louis Chessman. And as you do when you get asked to do one of these things, that was a quote that I found that I thought summed up the topic and the opportunity that we're talking about today rather nicely. Today, I'll be telling you more about three things. Firstly, I'll give you an insight into how Modulr views cash flow. Secondly, how these challenges can manifest today for accountants, bookkeepers, and businesses. And lastly, I'll tell you a little bit about how we as Modulr are solving these challenges. Now, quickly, just to set the scene on Modulr, we're a payments company that's pioneering embedded payments, which is all about bringing payments into the tools that businesses use to work. So firstly, an insight into how Modulr views cash flow. Cash flow is a complicated and simple equation. It's something that a business considers on a day-to-day basis. It's what allows you to make decisions, be adventurous, and as a business owner, enjoy the reward for your hard work. Modulr looks at this equation in three ways. Firstly, you need to have visibility of it to see what's coming, when times can be good, and when there may be a pinch point. Secondly, you need to make the most of it. It's a precious resource, so how can you maximize it to your full advantage through the tools and the way that you manage your business? And lastly, you need access to it, whether that's through your invoice to cash processes or working with a trusted partner to access more working capital when it is required. Modulr helps businesses with the first two parts of this equation by embedding payments into businesses' software or into a business's advisory relationship. So what are those payment challenges and how do we see those manifesting day to day? Well, considering that payments is an important part of having visibility and managing and maximizing your cash flow, it's the mechanism, after all, that brings money in and out of your business. We found through our surveying of existing customer base that most accountants and bookkeepers are ignoring payments as part of their offering to clients. And most businesses are still relying on a file-based process to make payments, neither of which is conducive for having visibility or maximizing your cash flow. Typically, the most common reason for payments being ignored is because they're complicated. And historically, the way of making them better has been through throwing more man hours at the problem. And this is reflected in some of the reasons that we typically hear around why an accountant or a bookkeeper may not offer payments as part of their service to their clients. And it's often related to compliance concerns around completing those processes, security, as well as it being time consuming and a messy process. And a lot of this revolves around changing processes that businesses have done for a long time in the way that they pay and make payments. So how is Modulr looking to solve some of these challenges, and what are we doing in the space to support with the visibility and the maximizing of businesses' cash flow? Well, as I mentioned, we're really focusing on those two ways that we can support a business with their cash flow. And one of those first ways is through visibility. And one way that we can do that for businesses and also for accountants through their client is being able to give them a single point of visibility across all of their customers for payments within one portal. Crucially, that if you can't see what you're looking to work with, if it doesn't interact with your other tools, it's very hard to have visibility and maximize cash flow. And most cash flow challenges come from an unexpected pinch within what's coming in and what's going out. And the way that we've looked to tackle that is by connecting a payment account that you can sync with the accountancy and software tools that businesses use day to day. And this at the moment is primarily for payroll use cases and supplier payments use cases, but we're looking to continually build out this ecosystem with key integration partners and accountancy and advisory partners. And that syncing is all around removing some of those existing processes for files and manual payments, manual data entry that don't help you to track what is going on and coming in and out of your business. In the Modulr solution, because we're integrating back into businesses' day-to-day ledgers, their portal, their eyes, their visibility of where their business is today, we allow businesses to reconcile their payments back into their ledger and their accountancy software, which ensures that as a business owner or an accountant working on behalf of your business, you can always have that latest picture of your cash flow position. And crucially, you can have that position in real time. The second way that we're looking to support businesses is through maximizing it. So if we just spoke more about how we support with the visibility for embedded payment solutions, when we talk about enabling business to maximize it, one of the ways that we do that is by providing greater security and control over approvals, which is really about making sure that the right people who are involved with a payment going out of a business are approving those payments, and there's a seamless and structured way of doing that. There's a big push recently within the financial services industry around a reduction of fraud and a real prevalence of things called account push payment scams, which is where people are misled into making payments. Modulr helps to mitigate that through services like confirmation of payee, that one ensures that when you have a payment going out, it's checked against those account details for the recipient's bank. And secondly, that there's digital approval steps with biometrics for the sending of those payments. And this can be done for businesses at their desk or on the go through a mobile app approval. Now, in the context of an accountant, we've created a system that we've called delegated access, which enables a business to provide their accountant with a variety of access tools on their account, which can be simply from the most restricted, which is just around visibility, all the way through for an accountant or a bookkeeper to be able to set up payments, to be able to approve payments up to certain limits on behalf of their clients, should that fit into the relationship that those two parties have. And then lastly, the way that Modulr is connected into the payment schemes is all related to instant payments. Now, this is quite a change from the way that business payments has been done previously, which is typically through a back-based process. Backs typically is a 3-day cycle for those payments to be processed and sent, whereas Modulr uses the faster payment scheme, which enables funds to be settled within seconds. And this is all about giving businesses time back into their processes, ensuring that if you do need to make a payment to a supplier, that can be done on the day that invoice is due. And likewise with things like payroll, where there can be crunch points or busy periods in the year around bonuses, there's more time for those businesses to either ensure that they've got the necessary cash flow in to make those outbound flows, or just giving their staff a bit more time to make and manage those payments. So at the start, we said that the more that a business owner knows about their cash flow, the more empowered they are. I hope you've come away with, albeit a brief, but a better understanding of how Modulr views cash flow, the importance of a business having visibility of those processes and embedding that into their day-to-day management, the ability for businesses to maximize those processes through instant payments and more seamless workflows, and then also the ability for a business to access additional capital when required, which leads on very nicely to Matt's. Please feel free to scan the barcode and find out a little bit more about Modulr. Really look forward to taking your questions after the presentations, and do watch this space for more information over the coming weeks around an integration with Nomi that we are really excited to talk more about. So thank you very much. That's all from me today.
Thank you, Louis. Now over to you, Matt.
So time flies when you're having fun. Let's buzz through that one. Let me share my screen. And hopefully it will be just as smooth. Please bear with me, and just if I can get a nod, thumbs up or a wave from anyone of the co-collaborators. Thank you very much, Paul. As Louis rightly said, there's 3 parts of the exceptionally complicated and very straightforward cash flow management flow that you can use as a basic template. The third being accessing funding, and that's where IWOCA comes in with Nomi. So initially what I want to do is, I don't want to talk all of this, so I'm going to let one of my colleagues talk, and this is a bit of a mystery shopper that we did back in 2017, which feels like only yesterday for me, when I had hair. We sent our then head of sales, Toller, out to a few high street banks, and we wanted to understand, this is Toller, our head of sales at IWOCA, who runs his own business and wanted to get a business loan. And this kind of, in my mind, epitomizes why IWOCA came around. Hopefully you can all hear this. Can you hear it?
No sound coming through.
Sound? Well, hopefully we can all read. We can all read the subtitles. But effectively, so he's going into different banks. He's trying to understand how to manage the process. And this is after we checked on these banks' websites. And the simple answer online was, please visit our branches, please talk to our advisors. Toller spent the better part of an afternoon walking around central London, visiting high street banks and looking to get even an application process. The result being, he effectively got asked to sit on hold in a conference room, speaking to a branch and an office in a different part of the country, to an advisor that didn't know his business or actually wasn't able to help. And in this instance, I think he was on hold for about 20 minutes and eventually got told, sorry, we can't assist you. This has become a bigger and bigger problem over the last few years. Recent data shows that there are now around 6,000 bank branches that have closed in the last 9 years. That number's doubled since COVID. And it just makes it harder and harder for businesses, specifically small businesses, to access funding. And when cash flow is such an immediate need, and can be a very urgent problem, being put on hold, waiting around is not going to work for most business owners. And in our mind in IWOCA, and the reason we started working with advisors, accountants, bookkeepers, and platforms such as NOMI, are that you're perfectly placed to support not only your own business, but your client's business by giving them a different place to go and a different option to review. So, as I mentioned, the lending gap is predominantly comes around from these rejections and the inability to be able to get funds from traditional sources. So the Bank of England report there shows 1 in 4 SMEs are rejected. This is not counting any declines or dropouts during the application stage. This is purely a rejected on eligibility basis. So 22 billion might feel somewhat made up, but when it's 99% of all UK businesses and around 50% of GDP, it's a very large proportion of our businesses. And how does that make the actual people running these enterprises feel? So this was a small business owner that we asked how they approached funding in the past. And I mean, it could apply to many scenarios in life, but the fact that it's such an emotive drawing when related to funding says all in my mind. And the biggest part of it is that emotion. It's how do you get on doing the thing you love? How do you run your business when you have the stress of finances looming over you? So everybody in this room, I presume, is very highly educated in financial matters, good with numbers, able to see positive and negative trends in cash flow and within a business's finances. Your clients aren't necessarily those people. It's hard to relay a cash flow problem to someone when they're looking solely at their bank balance and saying, yeah, but it's fine because I've got money in the bank and I can pay my bills right now. But having to continually look at your bank account and having to worry at night as to whether you can pay those bills the next day, and this is where that emotional strain takes its toll. In terms of how you can help, our view at IWOCA, and I know is shared by NOMI, is that you can spot these problems with your clients. You have the ability to delve into their numbers and delve into their finances in such a way that you can then propose solutions. And what we've also found in the last 8 years of working with advisors is that businesses that apply for specifically IWOCA funding are 4 times more likely to be approved when they're referred by an advisor. And because of exactly that, you're able to see the problem, propose an option as a solution, and discuss it with your clients as to whether it would work. So we built something with NOMI. So we've got a fantastic integration for both direct clients and yourselves. It's a very basic overview that I'm going to show you here in a second. And it's very much just a slideshow of what it looks like. But before that, it's important to know who we are. Who are IWOCA? As you can see there, it is instant working capital. So that is where the name originates from. We've been trading now since 2012 or 2011 when we were incorporated, 2012 when we issued our first loan. And in that time, we've worked with hundreds of thousands of small businesses across the UK, Poland, Spain, Germany. We now primarily lend in the UK and Germany, and we are close to, I think we're nearly at the 500 employee mark now. So while we have stepped away from being a small startup ourselves, those are still very much our customers. So we're working to make finance accessible and payment options simpler for small businesses. We're very human, we're very real, we're very much people that are working towards this goal. These are all IWOCANs that are in our offices in London. Admittedly, only I think Denny on the right there, far right, is still an IWOCAN. The others have gone on to bigger and brighter things. The lady in the middle, Maria, she's the brainchild behind all of our open banking connections. Much like Louis said, that we're built on faster payments and open banking, making use of modern technology to provide the IWOCA solutions. And it allows us to have these novel ways of approaching things. So you don't, as an accountant, as an advisor, bookkeeper, or a client, need to wander into a branch, sit on the phone for hours to get through to us. You can apply in under 5 minutes. You can equally help your clients apply in under 5 minutes. So within NOMI, you need to simply connect IWOCA up within the integrations page, navigate through your menus when you're on a client, I believe it's client dashboard, and you can then refer a client through. Thank you, Paul, for the nods. You can then refer your client through, or at least propose that they're referred, and then you can email your client and say, here, you can apply to IWOCA for an IWOCA loan. I'm not going to go through the full flow itself because it is literally two more slides. That's it. But it will take under 5 minutes to complete the application, because quite a lot of it can be pre-filled through company's house lookups and online checks. And then we would look to get a decision back to your client, back to the applying business within 48 hours in most cases, if not instantly. So we're trying to take away from the hours of waiting and making cash flow pretty simple and accessible to all. Hopefully, we're not even at the questions yet, are we? The eligibility equally is very important. We are only able to lend, this is the only caveat with IWOCA, to limited companies and LLPs. So there's no sole trader lending, unfortunately. The simple reason behind that is that after 12 years of lending, we realized that less than 1% of our customer base were sole traders. And equally, the amount of applications we saw coming through were quite low as well. And we are now focused entirely on limited companies and LLPs. Happily, any business sector, as long as it's not excluded, so no gambling and arms businesses, sadly. But equally, homeowners or home ownership is not a requirement. And then, as you can see, there's some document requirements for the different loan amounts that we offer. And we're offering now up to £1 million to a small business over a maximum of 5 years. And just as a quick recap, please screenshot, wake up from your slumber or come back to the room. The funding gaps exists because of retrenchment from traditional lenders. So by that, I mean, it was not economically profitable or commercially viable for big incumbent lenders to support small businesses. Imagine much like an advisor can get a large annual fee from a larger client than they can from 10 small clients. It's much easier for a big institutional bank to lend to the likes of Meta and Amazon than it is to 1,000 small businesses. Advisors now very much becoming part of the process. We've got over 3,000 accountants and bookkeepers that work with IWOCA as referees, as introducers, and you're able to do it all from within NOMI. So you don't even need to leave your preferred software to do it.